or what to do and where to play towards.
Yeah, well, we will see exactly how that one affects us. We're going to jump straight into picks and bans. It's going to be the Lulu, Zhao, and the kog'maw. So Rogue Warriors are going to be the ones to take the Lulu Kog into that bot side. And EDG, they go back onto the Lee Sin. They pick up the Akali that you mentioned with Krem picking up for OMG. And let's see what their final pick is going to be.
And I really like this so far, right? We've seen any time a team tries to bring out a kog'maw composition is when you bring out things like the Nocturnes, the Akalis, these things that can easily dive the backline, burst out the enemy hyperscaler before he's really able to get off any point of power, and then it's impossible to play. I feel like Akali's a champion that LEC realized very quickly how strong this champion is, and we are just slowly coming into LPL with teams being like, hey, you know, this champion is fine in the laning phase. Actually, a lot of matchups that people think of as counters aren't so bad. And then once you get to that mid game, you buy so much time, you do well on sides, you create chaos in team fights and skirmishes. It really does do so much.
It really does, and honestly, looking at, you know, Akali as a champion, it can team fight, it can be picked, it can make its own advantages, you know, create its own opportunities. As you know, a lot of the damage is kind of, you see that, you know, the shuriken flip. Once you land the shuriken flip, a lot of the damage is kind of front loaded onto the second part of that. It's almost a foregone conclusion back to the old school Lee Sin. You know, you land the first part of the Q, it's like, I gotta go in, like I have to continue on with this trend. As we see now the bans coming in, they're gonna go away the Nautilus and the Leona. So good hard engaged supports here from the side, or good hard engaged ban supports on the side of Rogue Warriors, as EDG maybe look towards one of the last few remaining ones, as they got the Varus for lane pressure, so the Rakan would make a lot of sense, and yeah, they lock it in.
Yeah, so they are going to have the quickness to try to get on top of that kog'maw as well. Rakan's also a very interesting support in my mind, because he's one of the only supports that's very good and very easily able to utilize flanks and find your way in on a backline and then get out very easily with your E to start peeling for your carry. And now for Rogue Warriors, I'd love to see them put a lot of sustain and bruisers up towards the top side of the map. I actually did like the Gwen hover, but instead it does look like they're going to go towards wanting more engage coming out. And then for Forge, we hit on, hey, there's a bunch of melee sort of assassin champions that you can bring out in that mid lane. Right now, hovering the Twisted Fate, but even if you wanted to bring in a more aggressive skirmisher, something along the lines of a Renekton, I think would suit really well. But instead wanting to go to the Twisted Fate, one thing about Twisted Fate, right, his destiny does cause a lot of chaos with the Twilight Shroud from Akali, so provides emphasis there. But another champion that I don't think suits Forge's playstyle all too well.
Yeah, they really are kind of, I suppose, just doubling down on getting down that kog'maw, making sure that, you know, ZWuJi is in a position to carry, and we'll see if it does end up paying dividends, as the Udyr locked in here for Jiejie. So we'll see now if it's Flandre on his patented Akali. The last time I casted a Akali game for Flandre, he got a pentakill. It was LNG, I believe, against IG, or maybe it was RNG. I can't remember exactly who it was, but was able to get a penta on it, so it is something he is very prolific with, very, very comfortable on, and it looks like that's going to be the rotation here for the side of EDG.
And it's nice, right? It has the AP damage, so the stone skin coming out from Wukong, not going to be a big deal. You have a very easily spammable, reliable cooldown with your 5-point strike. I think he's going to have a fine time up in that top lane. And then we're going to get to this mid game where it's a lot more about picks for the side of EDG, finding their way onto the kog'maw, start trying to roam around Flandre and scout onto the map and get things going, to where for the side of RW, you have some options, especially at the level 6 mark with that TF. You can try to set up ganks for IceCoke coming into the mid lane and try to pick off Scout. And then we know this comp is just all about peeling for the kog'maw. I think that's what the Twisted Fate pick really signals as well, bringing the Destiny for the Twilight Shroud, and then just being a bit of a gold card bot, trying to stop anything from jumping onto ZWuJi.
Yeah, it's a protect the kog'maw, get down Mr. President, as for the side of Rogue Warriors, whereas the side of EDG, they've a hell of a lot of secret agents looking to try and assassinate the kog'maw on the backside. They've got the Lee Sin, of course. They've got the Akali, which we've gone at length about, and not only that, but they've got a little bit of a sniper there with Viper onto this Varus. So we'll see if they are able to make anything really happen for them in this early to mid game stage. But for Rogue Warriors, they are looking to scale. They are looking to get the item or two onto the kog'maw, make sure that they know exactly where he can be, and plant his feet down to do the damage. As we jump onto the Rift for game 2 of this best of 3, our second series of the day. All our games being played in Shanghai as EDG look to try and take out a clean 2-0, and Rogue Warriors looking to force us to a game 3.
Now we know IceCoke going to be a lot more prone to looking for early action, skipping some camps, trying to utilize the lanes that do have setup, which are lucky for him. Both top and mid do have setup for ganks. I don't really expect him too much to go towards top side because Akali very good at dodging ganks, not with her Shroud and her E, but also does bring the Ignite. So if any 2v2 breaks out in top side, I actually think EDG are very well positioned early on to take that. So I'd love to see him link up with Forge early on, utilize the gold card on the Scout, maybe try to burn a flash, and just make the game harder for Scout to play and find those advantages. And then we already know we're looking at the ticking time bomb of a kog'maw Lulu. And as we've seen many times in the LPL so far, kog'maw's not only some like super late game champion. Once kog'maw does get some points put in a W early on, does get his first item, this man is an absolute machine. I guess it's Voidling. I don't know if kog'maw's a man.
He's a void puppy. He's literally a puppy of the void that eats everything and spits his stomach acid at people. That's his lore.
I'm glad someone knows lore because I do not know lore. I do miss the old Summoners of War lore though. That was really sick. But
do you remember the journal, the Summoner's Journal at the top of the thing that used to get updated?
Yeah,
the last thing that got updated was like Swain was going to war and he was getting everyone over, and that was it. That was the last thing that was updated. But do you know what's also kind of annoying? It's a weird kind of faux pas that I get far more annoyed about than I should. But there's a voice line for Seraphine where she says, "No one believed in me except my music," or whatever it was. Like it's like something like that basically. But basically, the line is very contrary to her like entire lore, where it's like her parents were super like supportive of her, and it's just a little thing that annoys me. It's a small inconsistency. You know, I'm a lore head.
So here I am, you know, I guess criticizing Viper. You're telling him to come to me, and now the lore team needs to go to you, Mr. Penguin, and, you know, get your feedback on how to do things right.
And honestly, like, if they need a hand, I have a plenty of suggestions for some editing. I'm also very sad that they got rid of Oriana's original lore. They changed it. She's no longer just like this horrific zombie robot that was created because some guy's daughter went to the League of Legends and died. That's basically what it was, so... But anyway, enough about lore, enough about everything that's happening in the background. Let's talk about the game, because right now we're going to see the junglers both onto their Scuttle Crabs, both respectively taking it there. But we can see IceCoke maybe looking to see if he can get something done in this bot side. And it's funny, actually, something I did want to kind of get your take on as well is that, you know, we obviously talk about kog'maw, we talk about how he is late game scaling, but the Lulu kog'maw is an oppressive lane in the first few levels, and you really can get an advantage with it, you know, before pre-level 6.
Yeah, I mean, especially like this when you're in a double ranged against range plus melee matchup. kog'maw, ZWuJi can have such a great time of looking for these trades. We see the picks damage coming in as well after, you know, things like the E are set onto ZWuJi or onto a minion. So very oppressive coming out. For Viper and Meiko, it's going to be about looking for windows later on, which is going to be when the chains of corruption and quickness are able to come out. Trying to combo that in with Jiejie going for a gank as he's looking for one mid.
Oh, you flashed after the Q without already been hit, my friend. That's going to be an easy kill. First blood back onto the jungler of EDG. And honestly, it's the exact same thing we saw in game 1. Jiejie knowing that with this Lee Sin priority, they can make this work.
And it's just one of those things, right? Comes out from base, doesn't clear any of his camps yet, just looks straight for that mid lane gank because they know that they have the power to set it up with the flash. That was the exact play we were talking about, looking for Rogue Warriors to set up. And sure, Scout is a bit more mobile, so it'd be much harder to kill him, but even forcing out a flash makes it so Scout would have to play safer and then isn't able to look for the plays like this so freely. So we're going to pan to the top side and see Flandre is slightly ahead. Looks like he'll only be about, you know, a couple of CS up, but 8917 doing a good job to find trades, but that is because he already had a base, did come back to lane with the Null Magic Mantle. Flandre was going to look for a base anyway, so it doesn't really matter that he goes down HP in that trade, and he's going to go back up towards top as, you know, just getting a bit of a tease down in the bottom lane. Nothing actually going to come out from this. No kill pressure from EDG's bot lane as of yet.
Yeah, just Meiko showing intent, saying, I can't land it. The grand entrance is enough to get you down. As we can see, IceCoke just being corralled away from this vision ward. Jiejie just holds the mid lane just a little bit, and you know, the nice little synergy that we talked about between the mid lane jungle, such an important combination for any team in, you know, in international League of Legends, that they need to make sure that that is going safely for them. And I'm actually looking just quickly down at the CS numbers, and, you know, actually I have to stop myself. The Q lands. There is a gold card locked and loaded. Scout still has Flash and the Dragon's Rage should he need it. IceCoke goes over. They pop the Destiny to know exactly where everybody is. There's a little bit of a skirmish. There's going to be IceCoke going over the wall. Flash from Scout to try and get him out. There's the grand entrance, and we can see now EDG just forcing all the summoners away. But Sniper Viper off on the backside gets himself a kill onto the Lulu.
And that was just a nice utilization of what happened in the mid lane, right? Because Forge has no flash, they know they feel stronger in the 2v2. They have item advantages. They're hovering around that, walking into the enemy jungle. Forge not able to do anything other than he's trying to cover for the fact that IceCoke doesn't get invaded. I like that Scout held on to his Sonic Wave, waiting for that stun to time out. Obviously, Gold Card not going to time out before the Sonic Wave follows it in, but both Jiejie and Scout were level 6. IceCoke still only level 5, so they're going to win on that 2v2. Rogue Warriors were banking on the fact that the rest of their members were going to be able to follow up first. As you can see, both Lulu and kog'maw making their way over, but IceCoke already forced to flash away. Scout might have to match, but once the other members of EDG are able to get here, those item advantages coming from mid-jungle, the item advantages coming over jungle as well, are just going to equal out into that kill for Viper with the amazing snipe.
Yeah, really kind of, you see the power there with the Varus there to be able to stop ZWuJi from gaining, you know, the inside track, force him to go the long way. You don't get the extra damage you would normally have with the, and the extra range with the kog'maw. So very, very nicely done here by EDG. And this is kind of a sign of our top teams that, like, even when they seem to be caught out, they find a way to get themselves back, to get themselves into an advantageous position. And for Rogue Warriors, there's a lot really to be desired for these early skirmishes. They need to try and make sure they're not just getting, you know, falling further and further behind. And with the Drakes going now in favor of EDG, they were able to pick that up while the replay was going. It's going to be another little ticking time bomb that Rogue Warriors need to be aware of.
I also think this should be a relatively free Rift Herald for the side of EDG. You see they have Prio in top. They're going to be able to gain Prio in mid very easily from the fact that Scout does have kill pressure. So with the fact that Rogue Warriors know EDG are going to look for this play on the top half of the map, they're rotating Lulu over.
Oh, they're rotating over. Scout does get killed, and that is a pretty easy little move there for the side of Rogue Warriors. They're able to get full control over that mid lane now, and Scout just feeling a little bit too confident.
Yeah, I guess not expecting IceCoke to be there as well. I assume he didn't have vision on him when he went for that play, thinking, hey, I can try to kick out Forge and find the initial pick with Meiko before our Rift Herald happens, and then go in with an even bigger advantage. But 3 members are there for Rogue Warriors. He goes in, looks like a bit of a fool, but, you know, we can empathize with Scout, and now EDG gonna have to default back to standard positions, sending Meiko down towards the bottom lane. But with how much work Flandre is doing up in the top side right now, 20 CS up, it's still going to be a Rift Herald over to EDG.
Yeah, you've rotated everyone towards that bot side. They obviously saw Zhao going that side as well. And that means that Jiejie gets this, as you mentioned, pretty much uncontested. And now we'll see with EDG now having this extra accelerant, as you say, the... Oh, I have to stop myself, see if they want to go for something. But no, I think EDG are very aware that the... that the Zhao is somewhere on this bot side, but this accelerator that you have now in the back pocket of Jiejie, where do they want to prioritize it? Where would you like to see them prioritize it in the next few minutes?
I would like to see if we just have Jiejie drop that towards the top half of the map. I think accelerating Flandre could be massive when he's going to be the one able to focus down ZWuJi in these fights. Though your bottom lane has been able to gain Prio, so using it bot, if you could try to chain it into some kind of dive and also take out ZWuJi or even just deny farm is another area that can work. But Flandre would be the go-to. I like what Rogue Warriors almost tried to do there, where they had IceCoke try to go for the trade on the other side of the map, but him and Forge didn't sync up. Forge actually going to base for his item. I think maybe even falling behind in tempo there and trying to find the guaranteed play on bot might have been more worth it, because we are at a point where Rogue Warriors feel like they're slowly starting to bleed out. And we don't want to count them out because of the kog'maw Lulu coming in, but EDG have just shown that they're a team that's so terrifying once they are able to get that advantage and get ahead.
Yeah, we saw it in game 1, and for EDG, it's pretty much business as usual. There's no real need for you to go too far too quickly, as QiuQiu does not quite have his red buff there long enough, as now IceCoke roams in, but there's a hell of a lot of people waiting in this bush. The wild growth going to be used as well as the ultimate there from IceCoke, as in Zhao trying to keep himself alive. The Dragon's Rage kick to keep Scout alive. There's the Destiny. Where does he want to try and put it? He's trying to see if he can catch out Scout, but there's too many members hovering around the EDG mid laner, and that means that the side of Rogue Warriors will still stay alive, but they won't get themselves the kill.
Yeah, and that's really lucky for EDG because they still have 30 seconds until Dragon, so Scout can look for a reset right now and come down when that one is coming up. We see that Flandre has full control of topside, so he's able to start making his way down. Maybe they can find a pick onto Twisted Fate, and that opens room for Jiejie to start hovering around towards the spot side, and Viper putting down all this poke onto ZWuJi.
Well, ZWuJi is the one who's putting down the poke right now. Viper just trying to back himself away just a little bit. Does throw out a piercing arrow, but doesn't quite land it onto anyone. Jiejie running down as fast as a man bear pig can. And see if they go for this dragon. That spawned now in 1 second. The Akali did roam down. So Flandre was covering towards that mid lane, so they wouldn't get full priority here for the side of Rogue Warriors. But Jiejie, he knows that he's going to have to try and make something happen if they want to have a full, I suppose, full advantage at this dragon fight. He's opting to drop down this Rift Herald to try and see if he can just get a little bit more of an advantage for himself, as the no plates go over to Scout.
Yeah, so he's just going to try to drop that one to force prio so that EDG can take this dragon uncontested. The plan goes smooth. I think even had a fight been able to break out, we saw that initially EDG did have some really good flank wards for Flandre to be able to join in on. And speaking of Flandre, I'm a bit surprised he went for the Riftmaker here, to where we know the Akali Riftmaker has been standard, but there have been certain instances where we've seen the Rocket Belt come out where you do only have one job of trying to get onto that backline carry, and it's not very like brawly, it's not very melee heavy where you're just hitting frontline, but still is going to opt into that instead of the more assassin-oriented route with the dash that it provides. So yeah, I think Flandre still should be pretty good on being able to close the gap, especially with the fact that you do have Meiko with the quickness in a flash bear slap coming out from Jiejie. It just means they're going to have to be very on point in their teamfight formations, finding those flanks, getting down the early vision so they can spot out where the key members of Rogue Warriors are when we do go into fights around neutral objectives.
See how that one pans out. So it was a boots rush here for ZWuJi, recognizing that he does need to be pretty mobile, but a Prowler's Claw and boots for Viper does give him a little bit of an advantage in this lane. As I say that, the Phantom Dancer has just been finished up, and this is pretty standard for the kog'maw. We have seen that pretty much become the go-to item as a first item for him. It's, you know, then builds towards a mythic, and hell, might even go towards the Wit's End earlier, a Hex Drinker before that, if he does feel like he's being threatened.
Yeah, a lot of time we see either the Phantom Dancer or Wit's End come out first. You know, if a lot of AP on the other side, we'll see the Wit's End. If not, we'll see Phantom Dancer. And then most time it has been that Gale Force coming out. We have seen Immortal Shield Bow just a little bit when your durability, the lifesteal, the shield coming out are much more important than that repositioning tool with the Gale Force. So I wouldn't be surprised to see ZWuJi going with the Gale Force build this time around. And now with no objective on the map, where we're kind of defaulting to the same standard scenarios, it does look like Jiejie's going to go towards his top side with Red and Rift Herald coming up soon. I think for EDG, you can expect them to default into taking both. And for Rogue Warriors, I'd love to see them go for that trade map play that we've talked about a lot over this series of like, hey, you know, you probably have to give up that top side. I don't know if you're strong enough to fight EDG on your weak side of the map. Start bringing down Forge, look for the Destiny play, get IceCoke involved in the lanes, and try to get down some turret plates. I guess turret plates are gone. Get down the turret for kog'maw.
Oh, speaking of getting the kog'maw going, you can see Viper just getting peppered down here by the Bio Arcane Barrage. Really difficult for him to do anything about it. It did cost all of ZWuJi's mana and the Wild Growth, but now EDG do not have priority into this bot side, but they might want to try and change that. Scout and Jiejie roaming up, but good wards here from Rogue Warriors do spot out the mid and jungle of EDG. Well, we'll have to see if we go for something slightly different. Is they're going to jump onto this one. TP comes out straight away. The Destiny has been popped. They all jump in. They're all clumped together. They're all dogpiled on the Void Puppy. The President is down. The President is dead. The Shuriken flip is landed as IceCoke gets himself out with a flash going golden, as we can see there. Flash! Dragon's Rage, and the flash over the wall means that Meiko and Jiejie can still follow. And out of nowhere, EDG can just get an advantage like that.
And it's just a massacre. You were just about to say about how, you know, now EDG doesn't have that prio going into the bot side, but if you want to force prio, is A917 living a little bit on knife's edge? I think he's going to be fine, okay? A lot of potential action breaking out, but we are still good. But yeah, if you want to force prio into the bot side, we saw what Jiejie did. Run from top, path through mid, guarantee that Scout's able to push out that lane safely, and then send all your members down towards that bottom half of the map. Flandre even following up with the TP, and then ZWuJi caught himself in a little bit of a detrimental position to where, hey, like you said, they all dog piled on top of ZWuJi. He goes down. Now Rogue Warriors not feeling confident they can take the fight, and we're gonna see how it all started. Jiejie was just on the top side of the map, started running down, wanted to look for this engage onto IceCoke. ZWuJi and Chocho, I think, are
Meiko.
so aggressive with their positioning, because look at where EDG all are. They are all here. Viper's going to wrap around from the opposite side of the choke. I like that you highlight Meiko, but you just made it so they're so easily able to follow up onto the bot lane, and then Meiko just able to keep it going with the W, consistently finding these engages. Very highlight player in this team fight, but I feel like Rogue Warriors bot lane just made it a bit too easy for the side of EDG. Though, even IceCoke, right? You saw Jiejie and Scout walking through mid towards spot. You weren't able to follow up. You weren't even prepared to have A917 starting his TP and matching Flandre to start off the fight. So Rogue Warriors just being caught with their pants down a little bit.
Yeah, just not really respecting EDG coming down, having that global pressure, of course, with Akali just finishing off the Riftmaker as well. So very strong moment there for the side of EDG, and they've got themselves a 4,000 gold lead out of nowhere. And this is kind of a testament to our top teams, where they just randomly get one fight and then everything seems to go to absolute hell for the other team, and there's nothing you can do. They just build advantage, and they keep building that advantage, as IceCoke maybe feeling like he wants to go for this fight. They have got the Twisted Fate roaming up there on the back side, as Forge has not got his teleport just yet. They're going to have the Chain of Corruption, and it will not be stolen away. They will have to just back themselves off. There's going to be Meiko to pick up that Rift Herald. And with the Destiny popped as well, you mentioned it in Champ Select, but Twisted Fate is not something that Forge is probably very, very known for, but definitely looking like he's very rusty with these Destiny gates, not really getting the kind of value we would expect from, you know, our top tier Twisted Fate players.
And that's why I'm a little surprised that he went for it over, you know, any generic tank or bruiser in the mid lane. You know, something along the lines of a Set, which was banned, but even a Renekton, which obviously very contentious pick, which also banned. Like anything along these lines, right? Go for some kind of skirmishing bruiser that has an easy time sitting mid. I know something that someone like LS has been raving about, as I've heard, is something like Ornn mid apparently being very strong, but I think you absorb pressure, you set up for IceCoke, and you put another meat shield in front of ZWuJi that is easily playable by someone like Forge and matches his playstyle, and also pairs easier with jungle than something like a Twisted Fate, which is so squishy and sets up for the gank opportunities that we saw coming out early on.
The big thing now, you look at the scoreboard, it is one kill is the only thing separating Rogue Warriors and EDG from a perfect game at this point. And honestly, I just don't see how they can come back to this. You have to fight in 4 minutes and 20 seconds. You have to go for that fight, because otherwise you're going against a Mountain Soul. And a Mountain Soul on this team means that the kog'maw is just never going to be able to burn through health bars. He's never going to be able to get to that point of being an absolute, you know, tank, you know, glass cannon in the backside. And with that, you look at the items as well. You have 2 items onto your Udyr, so he's going to be an absolute nuisance onto the backside. You have 2 items onto the Varus for Viper, so he's going to be burning through those shields as well with the Serpent's Fangs. And this is just becoming harder and harder and harder for the side of Rogue Warriors. They're just falling too far behind too quickly again.
I mean, Penguin, this is where we got to deliver that cold slice of truthium and say, it's looking pretty doomed. Rogue Warriors need to get down some defensive wards in their jungle. I think they need to turtle. They need to go the opposite side of the map where EDG are. As long as EDG aren't taking Baron, I realistically don't think you should be contesting EDG. Also, the other caveat to that is Dragon, because it would be sold for them. But for the next 3 minutes and 20 seconds, I don't think Rogue Warriors should be contesting. I'm very surprised they went and threatened the Smite steal coming out for that last Herald, because if an engagement would have come out for EDG, I think that fight would be heavily EDG favored. But I think with the fact that EDG have Rift Herald that they're dropping now are also on Soul Point, I mean, Rogue Warriors need a massive miracle, like 5 miracles in a row. EDG to just start sprinting it into them.
Multiple miracles are needed. We did see ZWuJi eat a Chain of Corruption to the face, but he did cleanse it. Funny enough, you still get the Blighted Quivers, so you still get those stacked on top of you, so if a Q lands on top of it afterwards, you are still going to take an absolute boatload of damage. So the CC is nice, but the damage is what's important for the side of a Varus, especially a poke Varus with the lethality, and you've opened up the map that little bit more again. And not only that, you know, when you open up the map, you're able to then start taking away camps. And someone who's fantastic at taking away camps very, very quickly is an Udyr. Now, Scout, does he want to go in on this? That'll be the big question, as the defensive wards are coming out for Rogue Warriors. ZWuJi is on a little bit of an island. I don't know if you want to leave that puppy off a leash for too long if you're on Rogue Warriors.
No, definitely not. But I like the point you make about, you know, opening up more of the map, because now EDG can just stack his 4 or 5 in any lane and have the safety to walk into any quadrant of the jungle, get down that vision, spot out where the members of Rogue Warriors are coming. They do have teleports up once again, even if they need to set up a flank if Rogue Warriors get signed some kind of advantageous positioning going into a dragon fight. And right now the map is just completely theirs. As of this point, we're just kind of counting down the timer of the 1 minute and 40 seconds to see what kind of crazy Hail Mary Rogue Warriors are able to pull out. But I think the problem is they just have too many damage dealers. Let's even say you get lucky and you find a pick onto, you know, Scout or Flandre or Viper. You still have to deal with then the other two, to where you are very heavily reliant on the kog'maw. Forge isn't going to be putting out any damage. Sure, we have the Divine Sunder on 8917, but it feels like he's heavily outmatched by Flandre's damage output. And then Jiejie is just an unmovable tank at this point. Frostfire Gauntlet plus Randuin's sitting on the Giant spell as well, Penguin? What can they do?
Yeah, there is very, very little. And again,
brush
why
plays,
we cut
cheesy brush plays.
Yes, that honestly, that's I refuse. This is the thing that I have. I refuse to call it a cheesy play if it works. If it works, it's not a cheese play. All right, you just weren't anticipating it. That's how I feel it. But speaking of not anticipating it, we're going to see Jiejie seeing if he can catch out Rogue Warriors, maybe overextending for a nice juicy Viper. You can see there, you said the unkillable tank, just nothing they can do. They can't really go up against him. But this is why we highlighted EDG, you know, the history of this organization, the dynasty that was between 2014 and 2018. You'd say this is a team that has been at the top of the LPL and arguably, you know, no disrespect to Rogue Warriors, but should be absolutely dominating in these kinds of series. And we're going to have to stop myself very quickly as we see the Destiny Gate coming out. We have the Chain of Corruption completely whiffing, but you can see ZWuJi only taking 1 piercing arrow and already down about a third of his health. And Scouts on the backside, the Grand Entrance, the knock up, the knock back. Flandre gets himself the perfect execution. The rest of the fight is a 4v5. It's a bit split off on the backside though, as the Wukong does die. They do take down the unkillable tank. Turns out he was killable in the end, as Scout just playing a little bit of mechanics there. Doesn't really want to go in on top of that, but that is going to confirm the Mountain Soul here for EDG.
That earlier vision paying dividends with Scout able to find a massive flank. Hits the kick onto ZWuJi, and with the Void Puppy down, Rogue Warriors are left with nothing to be able to take a fight off of Edward Gaming. And you know, going back to your point is, you know, I guess we can walk through the replay pretty quickly, Penguin. It's EDG are very far ahead. We do see IceCoke going in, Forge trying to follow up, and EDG right now, they just have to buy time. 8917 doesn't have an avenue to go in, but Scout finds the massive flank, is just going to be able to find the perfect angle on ZWuJi. But nice job by Meiko and Jiejie, kind of forcing him into that corridor as well, making it even easier for Scout to find. And then 8917 tries his best, and sure, Jiejie does go down on the opposite side of the fight because they're fighting with numbers disadvantage there, but at the end of the day, EDG get the big prize of the dragon. But as I was saying, to me, the craziest part about EDG is just how many times they've reinvented themselves around different players, right? We've seen different cores come out numerous times from EDG, typically similar play styles, and it always works out.
Yeah, it really, really does. The back-end staff for EDG and, you know, the organization as a whole really do deserve some applause and from commendable efforts, as we can see now a 5,000 gold lead for EDG at Dragon Soul. So the actual gold lead is probably more akin to about 8,000, and they're setting up for a Baron. So IceCoke just jumped straight onto Jiejie, but even with a Mountain Soul on top of all the items that we already talked about, he is just not going to be going down anytime soon. You have got the Immortal Shield Bow passive available here for ZWuJi. No flash for the kog'maw, so he's just relying on his Lulu and his cleanse. But there's just nothing they can really do. For EDG, they're going to probably push in all these waves, take away all the resources, and then just keep threatening the Baron, because even if you do try and, you know, let them have that, I think the Baron's the final nail in the coffin. It will give them the extra little bit of push, a little bit of oomph that the side of EDG need in order to end this game.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I even feel like EDG are probably strong enough to where if they play it correctly, they could even dive inhibitor turrets at this point, but no reason to do that. They're going to play it standard. They're going to take vision. They're just going to go onto the Baron, and this is where Rogue Warriors, I think, need to contest, like you're saying, with the fact that they have Soul. That would be the nail in the coffin, but Forge going to try and find an angle. Flandre doing a nice job of playing keep away, though.
And the Chain of Corruption has been used. They know that Flandre's on the backside. Speaking of which, there's a 4-man knock-up here as they do get the nice ZWuJi ultimate, and they get on top of Viper, who eventually does fall. The Wukong is traded. You will take that trade. Jiejie in a lot of trouble, though. ZWuJi trying to pick up that kill. ZWuJi giving up another kill. There's 3 kills now. 4 kills for the side of Rogue Warriors, and over the wall, you can see that Scout has to back away, and out of nowhere, Rogue Warriors might have themselves a Baron.
And that fight was just so disconnected for the side of EDG, but still, I feel like we figured with how far ahead they are, they'd still be able to pull it out, but ZWuJi left untouched, putting out DPS. You saw Flandre and Jiejie trying to play around him, but with 2 members right by his side, not able to do anything. Viper getting crushed early on. Scout gonna try to look for a miracle. Isn't really able to do anything. Hits a Sonic Wave onto one of the members of Rogue Warriors. And, you know, EDG have Soul, but now Rogue Warriors are only about 2.5k gold behind. They're gonna back. We see ZWuJi picking up some more components for his next item as well. And I mean, that's a massive win for Rogue Warriors. There's no other way to say it. We're gonna see how it all started here. Rogue Warriors coming in with Forge. IceCoke's going to be the one to lead the charge. He's going to find and engage right onto Viper, going straight towards him. 8917 going to do a good job of comboing up with his ultimate, and Viper's just going to get instantly deleted. But I like that the other 2 members of Rogue Warriors are also just playing keep away and letting kog'maw be able to deal all the DPS possible. But IceCoke with an amazing ultimate wasn't able to go down and is just able to keep charging forward.
IceCoke with the refreshing engage there onto the back line, and you can see now without Viper having the flash, without him having the cleanse, he just wasn't really useful in that fight. And now things get a little bit more spicy, a little bit interesting. You have this Baron right up until this Elder Drake spawns, and I don't care if you have a Mountain Soul. If you get Elder Drake on the side of ZWuJi, on the side of, you know, IceCoke as well, they will just burn through health bars. They will be able to get those last little bits of health down on top of EDG, and this is where it gets a little bit scary for them. Now, I will say that EDG are still in the, in the advantage. There is still yet to be a turret taken by Rogue Warriors in this game, so very much a lot of standing gold available to them should they be able to go for it. But for EDG, they need to be a little bit more respectful. This Void Puppy is slowly but surely getting to that 1v9 potential.
It's one of those things, right, where a massive gold advantage can give you a lot of leeway in how you're able to play out your composition, but you're right, with that gold gap closing, with Baron being on the board, it feels like, especially Flandre and Scout, can have to be a lot more decisive with finding flanks onto the likes of ZWuJi. I think Flandre can probably still just jump forward, but especially Scout going back to what we saw at that last TP and getting that kick onto him. He does have flash up now, so this fight, the next fight that happens, should even be potentially easier for the side of Rogue Warriors now that they have that to rely on. But still, that last fight was very split. We really only saw Jiejie and Flandre trying to make their way onto ZWuJi. So I feel like we need to see a group effort coming out like we've seen every other time, right? It was Meiko getting involved. It was Scout finding the flank. Flandre there to follow up with his ultimate. So that same formation not able to come out when you are forced into the Baron pit by Rogue Warriors.
And look down the items now before we come towards this dragon in 20 seconds. We can see there 3 items now for ZWuJi. He's got the Navori Quick Blade, so he's going to be able to pop that W as often as he likes, as long as he keeps critting. That's kind of, oh, as I say that, IceCoke, no flash, no way to get out. He does get the wild growth, but he's very, very tanky with that wild growth. And that is a big tool, though, now used for the side of Rogue Warriors. Good work here from EDG to get away the Destiny, the ult from the Zhao, and the wild growth from the Lulu.
Yeah, nice. And even the poke coming out from Viper, of course, does have the Serpent's Fang now, which is going to be absolutely massive. EDG might engage.
They go for it. Flandre is able to take out Chocho. As you can see there, IceCoke on the backside, not really able to do anything. Viper does go down, but the Void Puppy is dead. Your damage is mitigated. It's going to be all Flandre all the time now as he just tries to go for this one. You can see 8917 trying his very, very best. It is a triple kill to Flandre. Will they give him the Quadra? They will not, but they will take the ace, and that's almost certainly going to be the game. It was a little rocky, but EDG, they firm up, they straighten out, and they get themselves a nice clean win.
I mean, it looks like they're kind of split, right? We see them now realizing, hey, that timers actually aren't long enough. We see that ZWuJi is going to come back up in 15 seconds, so they're going to let Scout secure this turret. I don't think he should be able to get himself an inhibitor, and EDG are going to be happy just taking away the Elder Drake. But we saw they were able to bait out the initial engage coming out from IceCoke, and then they were the decisive team looking for the engage. We're going to come here. This is after a lot of those engages and ultimates already coming out. And then Scout off to the side. Flandre able to dish out a massive amount of damage, but in the end, it is Meiko finding his way on, and then Scout with the flank is what puts ZWuJi out of this fight. And this is the big difference from last fight, right? We see Scout playing with these angles. We see Meiko able to go for these engage options after they baited out the initial engage from the side of Rogue Warriors, and it gave them a lot more freedom to play their composition the way it was meant to be played.
Just very, very good moves here from EDG, and it all stems from the fact that you don't have the Zhao ultimate, you don't have the Destiny, you don't have the wild growth there for the kog'maw, and that means you don't have a chance to really protect him if the Akali is able to land that shuriken flip. And now, 4 items on the Akali, was able to pick up a Void Staff after those 3 kills, 5, 1, and 3 there for Flandre in the top side. You have the Abyssal Mask here now as well for the Udyr, so that unkillable jungle machine is now even more unkillable. You've got a minute and a half left. Wounds. Yes, a ton of Grievous Wounds here, so stopping a lot of that healing, and you have a minute and a half left for this Elder Drake. You cannot fight this if you're Rogue Warriors. You have to just hope to do some kind of, damage limitation as the best you can possibly hope for.
I mean, in EDG are just hoping they can find some kind of engage right now, right? They want to be able to find the fight and try to end this while they still have that buff available, and they're looking for it.
They were looking for a cleanse used by ZWuJi, so that Chain of Corruption not able to get it. They did not commit the flash for Meiko, but they did commit the quickness. Now, they take away that first inhibitor in the mid lane. They go towards that top side. They've got themselves about, I'd say, 40 seconds or so on this Elder Drake before they really want to go for anything. Shuriken Flip does land there onto IceCoke. ZWuJi gets the wild growth, but where is he going to go? Boom! Meiko gets the kill, and he eventually does fall, but the Lulu is next to follow. This is going to be EDG trading 2 for 2. You've got a lot of damage, and these turrets are still up right now for the side of Rogue Warriors. It's doing a lot of work. Actually see the Jiejie being popped. No more Elder Drake spawn. Never mind, it's just about kept on there as they do end up trading 3 for 2. A little bit risky here for the side of EDG. They miss all of their abilities as they go to try and take out Forge, and now they're going towards the backside. Viper in a little bit of trouble. Viper will fall. It's actually IceCoke being the hero for Rogue Warriors. He's got a little bit more damage. He gets kicked away, so he's not able to take down Jiejie, and now he's going to try and just keep away absolutely everybody else. There was still a little bit left in that Elder buff, but the damage has been done. Yes, it was a close fight for Rogue Warriors, but the base is in tatters.
And how is this game still not over, Penguin? It looked so good at the start for EDG. Scout once again finds the flank, finds the kick, but Rogue Warriors taking a defensive formation. They have enough tools. We saw the whole time different members of EDG taking turret going down, and Rogue Warriors somehow still hold on.
Every single advantage has been going over to the side of EDG. Apart from that one Baron, it has literally been all EDG all the time. And this Void Puppy, and actually I must say, and something we haven't really talked about at length, but 8917 being able to find access to Viper to really delay this kind of big push coming in from EDG has been absolutely key for the side of Rogue Warriors. He really has been a massive shining light for them. And now you have 4.5 items onto the Twist of Fate. You have yourself, you know, looking towards that that GA now as well, and the stopwatch for ZWuJi. You have items here for your carries, and this game isn't as clear-cut as it was about 5-6 minutes ago.
I also like your point on 8917. He's been playing well, but also just how annoying it is for the enemy comp to have to deal with a Wukong, right? Because you have lethality coming out on your Varus, you have a Lee Sin in the mid lane. Like, sure, you have an Akali who does a tremendous amount of burst, but 8917 is quite tanky as well, coming out with that Sterex and, you know, having the GA. So he's also just been able to survive in these fights so extremely long and be such a nuisance because of the lack of DPS coming out of EDG's comp. EDG's comp is completely focused on bursting out members of Rogue Warriors, and that realistically only is ZWuJi or Forge.
ZWuJi has got himself a second life. She has got finished up that GA, so 3 GAs now available here for the side of Rogue Warriors. None yet, well, there is one, but it's on cooldown here for the side of Scout. 4-1 and 11, really doing very well on this Lee Sin pick. And now, is this the fight we want to see? You have got Forge up in this top side. No flash for IceCoke, but full summoners here for ZWuJi. Pretty much all summoners available, at least the important ones, I should say, for the side of EDG. The only one they're missing is Meiko's flash. They start to really put down the pressure. Minute 40 left in this Baron. Scout, you need to get the hell out of there. You cannot play aggressive. It does hurt. This Void Puppy's got some bite in its bark, and these turrets are starting to get a little bit low, but you're starting to see EDG be a little slower to try and take these ones out. It's becoming a little bit more difficult for them to force their agenda.
Yeah, I mean, ZWuJi just completely online. We saw it from that last interaction with Scout, right? Scout's HP going to half HP very, very quickly. Now EDG are trying to play the map. They're trying to utilize these 2 lanes to find their advantage.
Oh, the Chain of Corruption just used to zone people out. We have got the Destiny Gate popped as well. This could be the fight here for Rogue Warriors, but Forge is deleted. Nothing he can do as ZWuJi is now the final hope. You can see the Akali jumping in, jumping out. 8917 trying to do what he was doing all game and jump onto that backside, but with no help, no way of keeping him alive. He will fall, and now it's a 3v5 to try and defend the base with Baron still ticking for another 40 seconds. This feels like it's going to be EDG's game.
Yeah, and I mean, they're just going to keep going for it. They're going to find the kills.
They're going to keep going for the kills. They're going to try and stop every single person. The Jiejie has been procced. ZWuJi will be dropped, and that is going to be game, match, and series for EDG. They will go to 4-0 at the top of the LPL, and they will join LNG. Great start so far for the third place team in spring.
And it was so weird coming in with that last Destiny coming out from Forge, because I feel like your job as Twisted Fate is what we saw when he played up towards that Baron and the engage that Rogue Warriors won. Because it was him and Chocho that sat right next to ZWuJi and played defense, using the gold cards to keep members like Akali off of the kog'maw, and then Lulu there with the ultimate. Because when you send TF in too early, not only does he obviously just get outright burst, but you saw then once Flandre does make his way past the front line, you have less ways to peel the Akali off your carry. So we quickly have to see ZWuJi flash away. So, you know, obviously EDG were still winning. They were still in a favorable position, but it definitely felt like with a bit of different play coming out from Forge in the end, that, you know, who knows how that fight would have went if Flandre jumps in onto kog'maw. He gets gold carded. Lulu shields are there. Lulu has ultimate. You're able to pop him. You have 8917 and IceCoke doing work on the enemy backline. It could have been a completely different game, but in the end, EDG pulled out. I think in a very EDG-esque fashion so far this split as well, where in every series they typically have like one game where they show mortality and then one very, very decisive game. So I do think at the end, though, they showed us that they were able to adapt and play the map a little bit, right? Because they did just all 5-man stack bot lane. They were playing with 2 waves, trying to pull Rogue Warriors apart. So there still was a bit of adaptation coming in from EDG in that game where they almost floundered.
Little bit of a shakiness towards the end, but, you know, a win is a win, and you will take that one there for Edward Gaming. And again, I still maintain, I do like what we're seeing from Rogue Warriors. They're committing to, and this is kind of what we've been saying about some of the teams like V5, TT, and Rogue Warriors. they are showing small glimmers, small little silver linings of like, okay, this team can coordinate, this team can make things work. And honestly, I think if I'm on the side of Rogue Warriors, like the two I'm looking at are IceCoke and ZWuJi. These guys really were, and to an extent, 8917 as well had a very good early game, or mid game, I should say, but it's just not quite coming together for them. And it's really difficult to, when you're rotating people out, when you're trying to find out what pieces are working for you, to go up against someone like EDG and really try and take the two of them. So I'll be waiting to see who gets their first dub off of these three teams. I'm very excited to see who gets the first dub, but there is definitely hope for the side of Rogue Warriors to, improve off of last split.
I think the big thing Rogue Warriors need, first of all, is like Forge needs to find his stride, right? Because I think Forge has been one of the most, he's been heavily underperforming relative to other LPL mid laners pretty much ever since he came in as a full-time starter. Showed a ton of potential when he subbed in for EDG in 2019, but ever since, it's just been that. It's been like a dream of what was. And for Rogue Warriors, they don't have any sub mid on their roster. They do have two junglers, they do have two supports and 280 carries, but 8917 and Forge are all they got in the soul lane. So I think Forge especially gonna have to massively step up and again, maybe try to go back towards a different identity or that former identity and follow in the footsteps of other players like Dwynbe, like Cream, these players who just play what they're best at and they build around that. They build around, maybe the strengths or limitations of a player's style and they make it work. Because this game, and even game one, right? We saw Scout having such a free time, and especially the mid-jungle 2v2. Really no interaction between IceCoke and Forge at all in this series whatsoever. When there were definitely opportunities, they definitely had champions that could have linked well together earlier on, but we saw EDG always getting there first and just having the best of them.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that we mentioned it a little bit in the cast that in this meta, and specifically in the LPL, you need a solid mid jungle duo. You need that connection. You need that communication in order to go up against the likes of Jiejie and Scout. To go up, which on the opposite, on the flip side of that particular coin. Again, early aggression. We're able to move in there with the Lee Sin and the Udyr, get first blood, able to kind of keep pressure down and roam with each other. We saw it in the game one as well with the Diana and the Lee Sin, and it's definitely something that you just need to have, and it's something to look out for and see if it does improve for the side of Rogue Warriors. But we're going to talk about our man of the Rift, our MVP from Game 2. It is Meiko on the Rakan, and honestly, thoroughly deserved. We saw him just do so many great little engages. So many times he was able to get himself right on top of the ZWuJi's kog'maw, and really set himself up and his team for success.
Yeah, he would always find his way under priority targets using the quickness onto multiple people. I also love the clip of where he does a nice job of chasing ZWuJi down and pushing him into that angle where Scout's coming from the flank. In a lot of moments where we were looking for decisiveness to come out from EDG with this composition, Meiko was always the one leading the charge, and it was coordinated very nicely with Scout in a lot of moments. So the two veterans of EDG doing a nice job of coordinating and showing up together, and Meiko in that first game, the first support to hit 6,000 assists here in the LPL. So it's great that he's able to get an MVP in the following game on the same day.
Yeah, 6,000 assists, the first person to do so. And it's weird. I look at Meiko physically and I'm like, he's not that old. And then I remember he has literally been around for years. He has been around for so long in the LPL.
On the first MSI.
Yep, won the first MSI with ADG and has been consistent with this roster. And I think that's what we're seeing with the top teams in the LPL right now. It's a combination of, old plus new, something old, something new, and it's kind of coming together very nicely. But enough about Meiko. We're going to go send it over to Wendy, who has got Scout on